It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there is a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. And some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but soon they will realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend of Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone got to hear from Sandra.
Good morning, K-Man. Happy Monday. Well, it is Monday, January the 19th. Hope everybody is doing well. Buenos dias. How's it going? Instagram folks, how you doing, honey chow? Facebook, YouTube, cmrtv.com. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let me just refresh the links quickly, if I may do that. Remember now, we don't change them, so they're pretty much the same. We just update the backend URL, and then you just refresh your existing links, and you are good to go. So let me just do that quickly. Right. Honey chill. Everybody doing good? All right. It was a crazy weekend, so we are going to get into those details here in just a second. What we mean by crazy, what we mean by cray-cray. Never a dull moment in the Caymans. Ay. So we have the usual suspects already tuning in. They got the message about the links early. They're like, yes, Auntie, I am here. So good to see you guys. Let me just see. Did somebody remove my vertical? Let me see. Landscape. I kind of think somebody removed the vertical one for YouTube. I hate when people mess with my stuff in my studio. I'm going to talk to my guy to see if he did that. I did notice it didn't do someone's, yeah, I need to ask him if he did that because I kind of think I saw it like Saturday or something. And I know exactly who was in the studio. So I just need to tell our tech guy, please don't do that. Don't touch my settings. Okay. Okay, I noticed it was gone from Saturday. Do not touch the YouTube settings, folks. All right, so this morning, that means that you'll only see one YouTube feed. I can't change it mid, unfortunately. It has to be done, the orientation has to be done before we go live. So, right. All right. Okay. So not sure why he would have messed with that setting, but you know, at some point I feel like kicking everybody out of my studio and be like, listen, don't touch anything. Okay, let me just update the YouTube link then that we do have. Give me 1 second, folks. Beautiful day in paradise. All right, so both links are updated. And oh Lord, somebody's sending me a 5-minute and 27-second voice note this morning. You know, Marlon was saying to me over the weekend that apparently there is an option in WhatsApp. I've never seen it, so I have WhatsApp Business, so maybe that's why it's not available. I'm not too sure. Where WhatsApp will automatically transcribe a voice note for you. Is that right? Have you guys seen that? I don't have that feature. I do not have that feature. So, I don't know. And I don't think I've ever had that feature. Now, I've used WhatsApp Business for a really long time, so that would make total sense. Well, I don't have it if it's not available in Business, but gee, that's a nice feature. I like that. I wouldn't mind having it, to be honest. Very, very nice. All right, well, you guys have seen the weather. I'm not so sure I have to tell you what's going on there. It's pretty obvious that we are having some bleak and rainy days. We'll check the weather service and see what they have to say about it in a little bit. But all you have to do is look out your window, honey child, and you know what time it is. It's that time of year where sometimes the weather turns, it looks like winter, but it's Caribbean winter. So it doesn't really feel like winter, but you know, you got a little bit of breeze. The ocean's a little bit rough. Is this a proper nor'wester? I don't know. But I do know that you can probably expect zero sunshine today. Like literal sunshine. We'll give you sunshine on this show. Yeah, I don't have that. Somebody just sent it to me. I don't have that on my phone. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy. Actually, you know what? I can check the other phone. Oh, but nobody ever sends me a voice note over there. Can somebody send me a very brief, ever so brief voice note on the CMR? Let me see here now. Oh Lord. Let me just 1 second here. Settings, broadcast list. Okay. Reversely to fix issues. Okay. Yes. So let me just have a look. Hold on 1 second. If somebody can send me a voice note there, I want to see if I can transcribe it. Let me see. We got perfect winters today. Lovely, cool weather without the stress of snow. All right. So, yeah, I've got 2 WhatsApps on the other phone. Let me actually just check. So, apparently, if you go into settings and chats, you see an option there that says voice message transcripts and receive transcripts manually. Okay. So, that's what it is because I see it on this other phone. You can turn it off in settings, but that is not available in business. You would think it would be the opposite, wouldn't you? You would think that that's the kind of feature that WhatsApp would give you in WhatsApp Business. Because, like, that's an amazing feature to have. I got to really rethink WhatsApp Business, honey chow. Because, man, they're kind of skimping on the features, really. Might have to switch back to the regular WhatsApp on my phone. It's a nice feature. When Marlon showed it to me this weekend, I was like, what? That exists? I've never seen that. He's like, yeah, he uses it forever. Because he doesn't like y'all sending him voice notes. Nobody. He doesn't even like me sending voice notes. He's like, another voice note? Really? You expect me to listen to that? He's worse than me. I'll listen to brief voice notes and I'll send them. Now, his definition of brief is 2 seconds. My definition of brief, I'll give you a couple minutes. That's all right. I get it. But you know, men communicate differently. What they say, they're not into the long talking. My goodness. All right. That explains that. That mystery is now solved. And although I think some of the voice notes y'all be sending me, WhatsApp would be confused trying to transcribe that, honey child, with the dialect. WhatsApp would be like, what? Wagwan? Wagwan? How do I transcribe that? Okay, so I trust everybody had a safe weekend. We've got some weekend catching up that we are going to do. And I'm going to do our weekend roundup. So let's talk about a few things. Number one, we want to extend our condolences and thoughts to a little baby who passed away over the weekend. Jason, friend to the show. In fact, just last week, we had published that his daughter was in need of heart surgery. And I can tell you that these things are not cheap. I mean, my gosh, when he told me the price tag, yes, insurance was going to cover some of it, but they're still out of pocket a lot of money. I was just like, whoa, that's a lot. You're talking like $500,000 for some of these things. It's like crazy, or into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Unfortunately, she didn't make it. And yeah, so sad. He said that they, did everything that they could. She had a congenital heart condition that was requiring extensive medical intervention. So Jason and Marla are the parents of little baby Jamelia. And the condition was preventing her heart from effectively pumping blood through her body. And so, she's born on January the 7th. And unfortunately, she passed away on, I believe that would have been Saturday night. So, poor little thing. Very, very sad. You try to find the silver lining in these things. Like when you say, well, Sandy, she's not going to suffer, but no parent, like that's really not a whole lot of comfort for parents. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, as someone who had a preemie, number one, I can understand the expense involved because, our daughter was a preemie, but thankfully she was just tiny. Like turns out there was really nothing wrong with her. It's just that in vitro, she just was not growing particularly well for whatever reason. And they never really could give us a reason. They said that sometimes it just happens, the placenta has a job to do, and sometimes you've got like a faulty placenta. And in fact, there are women who have had in advanced stages of their pregnancy, their placenta just completely collapse, like it just gives out. And then you have a late term loss. And that's horrific. I mean, as women, our bodies carry the load of this pregnancy, and, men, I don't know if y'all would really survive it, but it's a lot. There's a lot of things involved in it. And, women can do everything right, and it's just a fluke. Sometimes these things just happen. Never know. So, Marla and Jason, we're thinking about both of you and just hope that you can find some comfort in having her for a little bit of time. It's difficult though. It's difficult to see a baby connected to machines. It's difficult to see them in the NICU. It's just challenging. It really, really is. And I can tell you, like I said, we didn't have anywhere near this type of situation. She was just preemie and tiny, and they still had to keep her in there for a month just to kind of get her to eat and make sure she was eating properly. At 4 pounds, 1 ounce, they're like, we don't want to send her home, and then you're not able to feed her. She doesn't gain weight, because then we're going to have to bring her back. And the doctors told me the worst thing they want to do, because it said emotionally it's so deflating, is to have a baby that leaves the NICU and has to come back, because it really takes quite an emotional toll on everyone. So they wanted to make sure she was ready, and she had to be I think they were trying to get her to 5 pounds as well before they let her go. And she made it at 1 month. And she was so tiny. Oh my gosh, the size. I'm still in awe of her little hands, her little feet. Like everything was just so tiny. But at some point, I remember Dr. Sarah said to us, at this point, she looks fine. They did all the standard testing and stuff like that. So she can hear, she can see. She was practically staring people down. I swear, the nurses in the NICU was like, listen, we know that babies at that age don't actually, like, they're not focused on anything, really. Their eyes are still, I guess, even getting some degree of development. But they said, we swear this baby looking at us, because she'd be following us and staring hard with those big eyes. She had really, really big eyes and the most gorgeous eyelashes. Everybody's like, oh my God, look at her eyelashes as a baby. She had the longest little eyelashes. Yeah, it was stressful. We have to constantly, we're both working, have to constantly go in the NICU, visit, as much as we can during the day, 3-4 times a day at least. And then, poor me trying to extract and pump, and that wasn't working out too. I had to give up because that was like really stressing me out beyond what was going to work. But it's a lot, You're trying to bond with the baby while they're in the NICU. It's not easy doing that either. So I really sympathize with parents. And like I said, I know that I still had it relatively easy compared to some. And Yeah. We were in there 30 days and left with a $30,000 bill. Isn't that crazy? I was just like, $30,000 for what? I mean, yeah, but it's like, there was nothing wrong with her. Child, you just paying to sit there. That baby's paying rent money to have all those amazing nurses. And I must say the NICU nurses, I was really so tickled pink. You know, the other day I saw my midwife. I hadn't seen her in a little while. She's so nice. She has a little boy of her own now. He's cute. But yeah, you really yeah, it's an experience. That's all. That's all I can tell you. It is really an experience, and one that I really don't wish on anybody, to be quite frank and honest. Anyway, our condolences. The other thing that I'm sure most of you would have heard over the weekend is that Austin Harris is in the hospital and not doing particularly well. And so we also want to extend, I think I need to adjust my camera a little bit. We also want to extend our thoughts and prayers for him and his family. Because he's going through a situation that's not good. You know, I don't really want to say too much because it's not really my place to do so. But I think, you know, the best thing now is just to pray for him. There was a request over the weekend that they were looking for plasma. And, you know, there's only certain people, certain criteria in terms of plasma who can give and who can donate. But yeah, it's not a good situation, unfortunately. And so they had enough plasma from Saturday night. Now I know that Chris Saunders sent something out yesterday morning. I think he was a little bit late with the messaging because by then they had enough, and they can only take so much, you know, because then otherwise it kind of goes to waste. And I don't think anybody wants to waste like blood donations or plasma or anything like that. And then they get inundated because the lab is working and doing other things that if they have a mad rush of people when they don't actually need it, then, you know, that's a problem as well. So you guys will know Austin, obviously, former MP for Prospect, former talk show host, and my apologies, not plasma, platelets. My apologies. Sorry. I don't know who keeps changing my, who keeps changing in the studio my style from my comments. Somebody keeps changing my style. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Okay, so yeah, it's very, very sad. So platelets, yes, platelets is what they were looking for. So just keep his family in your prayers. That's the best that I can tell you at this time. Okay. Yep. Like I said, I can't really say much more. He did have a show more recently. You know, he was on, first he started out in Rooster, and he was there for years with Randy. And then he was on, he had Straight Talk on 90 Star. So he was on Star for, I think, a year or two before he ran for office. And then he ran for office, got elected, got in bed with the progressives. That didn't work out too well for him. And then he tried to do a reboot of his show, but unfortunately the pickup wasn't really all that great. And so they stopped the show from last year sometime. So yeah, he's not doing too good, poor thing. All right. I know there's other people in the community who are struggling with diagnosis and health issues. So again, we're going to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers as well. Yeah, no bueno. All right, folks, let's get into some of the other topics popping up this weekend. Oh, Gabby says, Sandy, I had the same thing happen to my little girl. She's born with the same syndrome as me. She had developed one hole and her heart saw swallowing on the left side, and she wasn't getting blood. You know, it's amazing to me how many people have like heart conditions, congenital. And evidently, somebody else was just telling me the other day, I'm not going to say who they are, but you know, there's a family here in Cayman that quite a few members of the family have it. It's like hereditary. And basically, how they were explaining it is the mother's umbilical cord, which is attached to the heart. I didn't know that. It's supposed to close after you give birth to the baby. And for some people, that doesn't happen. And so then you have a hole in your heart. And I guess some people might live relatively normal lives with it. I'm not sure. But then at some point, it can be an issue and they have to have it corrected. But I think we should all be so grateful that we have the medical advances. And I don't know that this was what happened to baby Jamilia's heart. Like, I don't know if that's exactly what it was. If she had a critical heart defect. But some other people are born with this and they're able to go into adulthood and not even know it. And then they have it treated at some point. And then they're fine. So it's really crazy. And big shout out to Health City. They're going to be back next month. They normally take the month of January off. But they have successfully completed the first robotic-assisted cardiac surgeries, marking a major breakthrough for advanced heart care in the Cayman Islands and the wider Caribbean. I mean, this is just amazing, the stuff that modern technology allows them to do. And of course, our very favorite, Dr. Benoit, heart surgeon, he performed it. He's head of cardiac surgery and clinical director at Health City. And yeah, you know, they can now offer fully robotic cardiac surgery. My brain is just like, huh? That is so amazing. So they did an intensive period of training and clinical partnership with Emory St. Joseph's Hospital, which is one of the world's highest volume robotic cardiac centers. And they're with a doctor. They were mentored by Dr. Douglas Murphy, my apologies, who's chief of cardiothoracic. Oh God, I almost had it. Cardiothoracic. No, that's not it. Hold on. We're gonna get it. Hold on. Cardiothoracic. There we go. Modern technology. Did y'all hear it when she said cardiothoracic? It was the last two syllabi that kind of tripped me up there. Cardiothoracic. There we go. Yeah. So, I mean, this is an amazing milestone. And he's chief of cardiothoracic surgery at Emory St. Joseph's Hospital and considered a global pioneer who's performed more than 4,000 robotic mitral valve procedures. So, you know, this is just amazing. So apparently, I mean, I'm sure they will be talking about this. Maybe I shouldn't go too far into this because they'll come on the show and give us all the details, all the benefits of why this is a better procedure, et cetera, et cetera. So this is great. Like, you don't have to travel overseas now for advanced cardiac procedures. because they've got the help of this robotic assistant, I guess is what we're going to call him. Just, woo, it's amazing. It's a great time to be alive, folks. Right? Yeah. Yeah, Gabby says, because of the valve in her heart, she passed 15 minutes after she was born. Aw. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that. So sad. I just, when a baby passes away, it's just so hard. Yeah. Yeah, KK's like $30,000. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I wasn't really complaining too much because obviously they've got 24/7 care. Like the babies at the NIC unit, I do feel like that's the one department at the HSA. I haven't experienced it myself. And, this was 9 years ago now, almost 10 years ago, but they were amazing. 24/7 care. The nurses in the NICU were just so supportive and so absolutely amazing. Yeah, they're just like one of a kind. And they just made sure that you knew everything, what you need to do when you took the baby home. Like, okay, they just got you so ready. Oh, I was still so scared. I was like, oh my God, what if I drop the baby? All these crazy things go through your head. And she did fall off a bed once. I'm not going to lie. That wasn't my fault. I'm not taking it. That wasn't my fault. I'm going to blame somebody else for that. But babies are resilient. Oh my gosh. Now she's braiding my hair. So I got to show you. She braided my hair yesterday. And she's like, I'm going to fix you up. And I was like, oh God. Poor me. I was like, okay. I got to show you guys what she did to my hair. Let's just say that I've had better moments, better looks for sure. But when you have little girls, I think they want to do certain things. They want to be the ones to paint your nails and all this stuff. So I kind of go with the flow. She wanted me to wear it this morning like this. And I'm telling y'all would kick me off the show this morning. Y'all would have been like, what? But let me show you what she did. And then when I was trying to take it out last night, it was all knotted. My friend was trying to help me take out the million clips that she had in my hair. And what? Her braiding skills, I'm going to rate them. They're not bad at all. I was quite, she didn't braid all the way down to the end, like she left the end out. But I must say that she impressed me with her braiding skills for a 9-year-old. I was like, girl, go on through. Okay, let me show you the video that she took afterwards. Of course, she had to take a video. So here she is. These are the braids. She put in lots of colors because little girls love colors. So every braid had a different color. OMG. That was just crazy. So that was part of my day yesterday. Fun times with Gigi. And look, she's showing you guys the braids. Oh my gosh. She is hilarious. And then she's like, I have to show. Let me take a recording. I was like, do you really have to? She said, yes, Mom. And I think you should wear it on the show tomorrow. I was like, No, honey child. We're not gonna go there. Are you crazy? Kids, what you gonna do? So she had a great time braiding it. And then she put clips like on the end. She put clips at the top. Like I had more clips than this. Reminded me of like, back in the day when we were growing up. Remember when they used to do the little beads? Anybody still does that? If you're African American, you probably know what I'm talking about. The rest of you, maybe not so much so. But yes, I was kind of feeling like, oh my God, is she going to want to put beads in my hair? I don't think we have any. I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to show you a video of her actually doing it so that you can see for yourself. She did a good job. I'm going to really rate her with the braid itself. Not necessarily my style, you know, but she did a good job with the actual braiding part of it. So let me show you guys what she ended up. Okay, hold on. Let me show you. It was funny. But then I had to take that out last night. And then one of the little clips at the top, the little scrunchy things, was actually braided into my hair, so I had to cut it out. Thanks, Susie, for helping me cut it out. Here we are. Getting my hair braided by Miss Gigi. Thank you so much, Miss Gigi. I appreciate it. Uh-huh. Look at that. Yeah.
Mom, I
Yeah.
said to not move your head.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not move your head. So look at her braiding. So cute. Doing a good job. Those little fingers working. Look at that. Yeah. Good job.
So,
How many more braids do you have after that one?
One more.
One more.
It took like maybe more than half an hour.
So long?
Well, Mom, you were talking on the phone for so long, so
Okay.
it distracted me.
Uh-huh.
And plus I had to comb your hair. Well, you did that, but the second braid, the third braid,
Okay.
I had to comb.
Uh-huh. So she's fixing the little pieces on the end. There we go. No.
Okay, just one more.
One more. Love it. Listen, Dad has to put up with having his nails painted sometimes too. And she practices on him. So yesterday she's like, can I do your nails as well? I was like, listen, we got to put a stop to the salon services. But she likes to pretend like she's in a little salon. You know, she's like, come, Mom, I'll give you a massage. I wish she'd give longer massages, but she's just like, okay, you're done. I'm like, how about a little 10-minute massage? Those are the ones that she could go longer for. But yep, Dad has to have spa dates sometimes. So his hair's not long to braid, but you know, she'll brush his hair and do his nails for him. She'll walk on his back. He likes that. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Miss Lucille, for reminding us to keep Miss Shellman, her family, in our prayers as well. She's still overseas in Tampa after a tragic event and loss in the family. So, oh wow, Gabby. So sorry to hear that. Yes, thank you, Miss Marjorie. I know, it's so funny. Irvin says you should have worn it and do a show and tell the way you're doing now. Not nice, Auntie Sandy. I actually had to meet a client later, so I had to try to brush that out, girl. Imagine me showing up for a client meeting with these braids and color beads. They would have been like, you okay? Do we need to call a professional for you? Yeah, she was trying to style me up, KK, trying to style me up. I don't mind on a weekend when I'm going absolutely nowhere. Hey, Thelma Lou and Carrie joining us from Cayman Brack. She says that's the Bluff Kitties. Good morning, Miss Pat. Miss Pat says, enjoy every moment. They grew up so fast. I mean, listen, 9 years went by like that already. I'm like, no, she's 9 years old. Where's the next 9 going to go? Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it because it did go by pretty quickly. Miss Carrie says, yeah, she knows what she's doing. I love it. Thank you. Stylist Gigi, imagine. Go on through, says Miss KK. Okay. So, you know, weekends, we try to be more low key around here. It's like family time. On Saturday, we did a little bit of work. I got a project that I'm going to be unveiling hopefully another month or so. So we're knee deep in that, trying to get all the different components of that done and completed. So I don't want to tell you too much about it yet, but it's very, very exciting. It is the next step. And 2026 is going to be and is an amazing year. And we just have to really, really embrace it. Now, so it was the weekend of a lot of traffic accidents, particularly yesterday. Like in a 4-hour period last night, I counted at least 4 or 5 accidents. What was going on? What's wrong with y'all? So let's backtrack to the one on Saturday night. Esterly Tibbetts, a car flips and catches on fire. Now, the police haven't said anything about this accident yet, but I have a sneaky suspicion that there may have been a police chase, like based on what eyewitnesses were saying to me. So we're going to ask them the question and see if we can get some more details on it. But I do low-key feel like the police might have been chasing this car. And then it got out of control. And of course, you know what happens once a car flips. You know, you can have anything happen in terms of car fires and stuff like that. Doesn't sound like there was any fatalities because I never heard that. But I'm sure you guys would have seen the actual I'm sure you would have seen the actual videos that we posted. That was crazy. They had to, block off the Esterly Tibbetts for a bit to try to clear it. Police were on the scene relatively quickly. But let's talk about what's happening on our roadways, because it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. Then yesterday we had back-to-back. There was one by in town where the eyewitness said the woman was drunk. She ran into, what did she ran into again? Hold on. Let me see what this one said. I mean, I was like, the only thing I was doing last night was posting car accidents. So this one came in around 7:30. Said, good night. Drunk female driver collided with a fence on Hospital Road around 6 p.m. Damage a fence. Car parts were all over the road. Police officer lives next door and was on the scene immediately assisting. Fire officers attended the scene and disabled the vehicle. It is still at the scene and female driver was arrested at the scene. What on earth? Why can't you guys stop the drinking and driving? Right? So they didn't get a picture for us until the vehicle was being towed away. So that was one accident. Then there was one, oh God, I'm trying to remember what order they're in. I probably don't have the order right, but let me just have a look. They were coming in so fast and furious. So this was that one. Yeah. Mash up your car, drinking and driving. You're lucky you walked away. Then there was another one by, I'm going to say that is past Lion Center, like that median right there. So check out the dash cams catching all this amazing footage. Everybody's going to have these dash cams soon, but look at this. Look at how clear it is at night. That sign was nice and clear. So here we are coming. I kind of missed it. I had to rewatch this twice. I'm like, where's the accident? But have a look. Okay. Here we coming. We're coming up on it. There's Lion Center. They're now passing Lion Center. Now keep an eye on the right. The median right there and right where you see all the police cars. Yes. And look at the car. You kind of miss it because that car kind of gets in the way a little bit. But boom, there it is. A Honda Fit somehow ended up on the median. Don't ask me how. I'm not sure. We got another footage yesterday or sometime over the weekend. Did I post that one? Where the person was like driving in the wrong way. And the only way to do that is if they had crossed in the same area, actually. The only way for them, I can't remember if I posted that one yet, but the only way for them to do that is if they were actually, let me see if I can find this one. Oh, the only way for them to do that is if they actually went over, like they were coming the other way by DVDL and they actually turned and went over the median to cross. I'm like, huh? You're not supposed to do that. That's crazy. I can't remember who sent me that one. Send me that one again. Because I may have, I'm not sure I actually posted that one yet. But is that not crazy? Who crosses over? Drives over the divider. No, that's not what that's for. My goodness, y'all are crazy. So if you're the person who sent me that video, resend it, because I'm thinking, for some reason, I'm thinking I did not post that one. Trying to remember, I get so many. It's just unbelievable. Then we had a couple West Bay direction. So we had another one on Saturday night, I believe. Even the bride, there was a bride in her wedding gown. That one was, let me see, I think that one was Saturday night. Yes. So this was a CNB roundabout, and there was an accident there. And I want to say there was actually a bride in her wedding dress standing up there watching it. She was like, what on earth? I don't know. Where in that area would you be getting married? So this is like right where, you know, the CNB roundabout that you come into. There's that plaza there that has Pico and stuff. Is there a church close by there for people to get married? I don't know, but honey child, she was staying up there watching this hot mess call an accident. Oops, let me show you. There she is, wedding dress and all. Her and the groom take a little pre, like, what is this? I tell you, no sir. Here it is. I mean, you guys have got to, at this rate, all of us are going to be paying exorbitant rates for just the bad drivers. And it's not fair to those of us who don't end up having accidents. So someone says weddings and more across from Pastor Place, not too far. It's kind of late for a wedding too. Do you have to do weddings during a certain time of day, like funerals? You know, Cayman laws can be very particular about certain things. You can't bury people after sundown. Did y'all know that? It's against the law. I wonder why that was put in place. I'd like to know. Did they think they turned into something after dark or something? I don't know. No law on Cayman funerals. There's no law on burials? I always thought there was a burial time. Are you sure about that? It's just tradition. Really? I thought there was an actual law that said that. Okay. Then there was another accident by the Cost You Less roundabout. A van ended up there in the medium as well. Then we had, I'm trying to think what other accidents we had. Oh my God. It was just a lot. Oh, here's the video of the one that ended up in the medium there. And then there was another one by trying to remember listen, I'm telling you, last night easily from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, there's about 4 or 5 accidents that I know about. God knows what else y'all were running into that I didn't hear about. But yeah, here's the one by the Cost You Less roundabout. A person ran right up on the roundabout. I'm like, what? You know, roundabouts are meant to go around, not through. Lord have mercy. Y'all just, Then we have reckless teens driving like this. I'm assuming they're teens. When I say teens, young adults. You know, I don't know their exact age, but okay.
That's a second time.
So this young man is doing some stunt driving. This looks like spots coming up in Spots, Newlands area. and he decides to, do a little wheelie. And I mean, he's got some skills. I'm not gonna lie. He didn't wipe out, so yeah, okay. But you don't do this on a public road. That is so dangerous. So he's up on both feet off the pedals. One foot is on the back seat, the other one kind of dangling, and he makes it through as he's coming around the bend. The problem with a situation like this on a public road is if he had crashed right there, the vehicles, I mean, the other little guy, here he is being compliant, got on his helmet. Was he even wearing a helmet? Let me see if we can. Yeah, he was wearing a helmet. At least he had a helmet on. But, if he crashes on a public road, that could be deadly for other people because the little other guy on his little bike here, it looks like that one might be an e-bike, who's being compliant, next thing you know, he runs into him or the car behind them. So there's a reason why we all have to follow the road rules. And quite frankly, it is because this is a shared space. There he is again. He's going up again. Doing another one. We have to share the space. Now, if he loses control and goes over on the other side and crashes into a car, that impacts other people. It's not just about him wanting to have a good time and, leave him alone, Sandy. These young people want to have fun. They can have fun all they want, but I mean, there's certain risks that you can't take in shared space because then you end up costing people their lives, which isn't fair to innocent people. And I'm sure some parent loves this little knucklehead kid, whoever he is. And, something were to happen to him, undoubtedly they would be grieving and really, really upset. It's just unbelievable. John LaRue says, don't forget it was Sunday brunch. I guess you think that's what it was that late at night, though? I mean, Sunday brunch is like over by 2:00. They're still boozing it up till 6:00 in the evenings. Morning, Miss Marcia. She says, good morning to the queen of CMR. Thank you so much. Aisle 2025. So the comments under this video of the riders make me so sick. They always say bikes up, guns down. But how about bikes down, books up, community service up, church up, etc.? Was that on Instagram? I didn't check the comments, but normally the Instagram folks who are, a lot of the younger kids and stuff, they don't understand. Remember the human brain now doesn't fully mature until they're like 25 years old. So a lot of these kids on there, they're still 15, 16 years old. They haven't lived life yet at all. And, it's like they can't see the risk. They think, everything's going to be good. That's what they believe. Yeah. So, I don't know. They just have a different appreciation or not at all for life. Yeah. So it's crazy because, like I said, what normally happens is there's some innocent person on the roadway who is actually going to be involved in that. What can I tell y'all except y'all need to talk to your kids? Really and truly, you need to talk to your children. Okay. Yep. Somebody says, no, there's no law against it, just tradition. The Cayman Islands Law and Governance Guide, there's no specific law that outright prohibits burying a deceased person after dark. I always thought that was, I know I've heard people say that was the law. So this is something new that I'm learning here today. Very, very interesting. But this person's an expert, so let's see. Burying a deceased person after dark at night is a general rule. Burial timing, day versus night, isn't expressly covered in the main burial statutes. What matters legally is compliance with procedural requirements, such as obtaining a burial order, registrar's certificate, before internment and burial in an approved cemetery or vault. When he drops his bike, it's gonna to keep on moving until it hits something like oncoming traffic. Yeah, that's the problem. That is exactly the concern. You know, the bike, he'll probably skid a little bit too, get all, burnt up on the road. But the bike definitely, which is a very, very powerful thing, is gonna keep moving, which is not good. Yeah. What am I? Somebody said, I think you meant plaits, not braids. Well, for me, that's braiding your hair. And I know that probably you guys think braiding is like when you put in like those extension pieces and those are braids. But I think before those were a thing, that's what we called braiding as well. Didn't we? I don't know. That's why I always call braiding. Uh-huh. Anyway, all I can do is beg for y'all to please be cautious on the roadway. Like this is just it is almost like a no-brainer, but clearly we need consistent ongoing public service announcements around this, because the message just is not sinking in. It's just crazy. All right. Right. Let me see here. So I didn't see those comments that you were referring to about the bike, but I see, even with the car race the other day that we had, some of the people in the car were like, oh, the other car was driving too slow. I know the speed limit is, if it says it's 50 miles per hour, that doesn't mean that you have to do exactly 50 miles per hour. You can do less. And as long as you're not obstructing any traffic on a Sunday, not too many people are in a hurry to go anywhere. You don't have to do the exact speed limit. I don't think there's any law that says you have to do the exact speed limit. Now, if you're doing a 25 and a 50, you might have a problem. But if you're doing 39, 40 and traffic is flowing perfectly fine. And for the record, when you look at the footage, that is not why he was passing. Him and the other guy, and that's why that back camera angle became so critical, because everybody would have then been arguing with, that was happening because you're driving too slow. No, they were actually racing. You could see them behind there taking off and racing. So here's one. I'm looking at the comments now. Somebody says, you should call traffic police on yourself for being on your phone and driving. So let me go back to the person who actually said that to us. And it wasn't actually her. She was very, very careful to say that I think, she says, I have a grumpy teenager with a wobbly grip. So it was actually her son. They have a much longer video of this guy, 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So the driver was not the one who was actually doing it. So let's be clear. It doesn't always have to be the driver. She has a passenger in her vehicle. And so the passenger was actually getting the footage. So this one says, let the man have fun. Ain't ish to do on this island anymore. We say that until he, has an accident, then he's killed, and then y'all need to go talk to his mama about, well, mom, he was having fun when he got killed. Are you okay with that, mama? Yeah, he's dead. He's a goner, but he was having fun. That's all that matters. It's like, what? Not on the mean road. There's enough dirt bike roads and stuff that he could be back there doing this. He's on a mean road. Here another one says, Caymanians hate to see you have fun. We're trying to keep y'all alive. No, sir. So I see a few of them assuming it was the driver recording. You know what happens when you make an assumption? I'm just saying. Yeah, I see the one now about wheels up, guns down. If that's what it takes, y'all put guns down. My God, help us. Lord Jesus, help us. So, all right, bad drivers, like, give us a break. It's a bit too much. You know, low key, I don't even want to be out after dark anymore because the driving is just so crazy and it seems to get worse as the day goes on. Yes, Marshall, good question. Marshall says, speaking about burial, did the little man from Churchill's clarify the issue about the cremation? So funny you should ask. So for those of you who missed it on Friday's show, there was a young lady in the comment section who had lost her mom. And she was saying that basically someone at HSA misinformed her and told her that, you know, essentially they offered crematory services at, what's the name of the place? Churchill. And they don't. So he called during the show, but he didn't want to talk on air. Now, y'all know me. I'm like, listen to me. If there's something that we're publicly discussing, you know, the woman made her comments publicly. I read them publicly. You know, I don't want to get anything wrong. So if you're trying to correct the record or you have something to say, what I would suggest is you literally just say it on air for everybody to hear. Like, I don't know what the big secret is. And, you know, why whatever you have to say to me can't be said to everyone. Y'all know that I don't really keep much confidential anyway. I mean, not something like this. This is a matter. Obviously, the woman put her business out here, you know, so it wasn't a secret from the family's perspective. And so she wanted it to be known. So I've never used any funeral services. And all I can tell you is that, you know, it's bad enough to lose a family member and then have to go through the logistics of having these types of issues happening in the background can be very, very stressful. You know, Churchill had a different version of events saying, no, that's not what happened, and this and that. So let me give you a rundown of what I know. So this is what the daughter said. She said, hi, I'm an American that was vacationing in Grand Cayman this past weekend, and my mother passed away on Tuesday while we were there. So sad. The hospital HSA, one of the nurses made the suggestion when we said we absolutely wanted a cremation that Churchill Funeral Home could take care of it. Now, I don't know why. Let me just pause for a second here, because honestly, I don't know why HSA is even making that recommendation, but to actually be making an incorrect recommendation is even worse because they don't do cremation. Okay. So she goes on to say, and we were under the impression that they did the cremation. We went to them, signed and agreed to have them remove her body, only to find out that he doesn't have a crematory that's operable. And now we're trying to get her body transported to the crematory that is operable, that can cremate her remains on the island. And he's asking for a $3,000 fee to have held her body for 2 days. It's just the most unfortunate situation I've ever experienced, and we just need some help. So this was actually Friday morning that she was sending this, and then I didn't see this WhatsApp message, but I saw her comments in the show. So she was asking for help. She said, I don't know if you're able to give me a call. Here's my number to see if you can help us with resolving the situation, but it would be great. So then she commented on the show. We read it. Obviously, people heard it, contacted Churchill. And then he, called and said, no, he doesn't want to be on air. So then she went on to say, I understand this was Churchill's response to my contribution to the live show yesterday. please find audio recording of my actual conversation with him yesterday. Please feel free to post for full transparency. We would like to set the record straight. As this was discussed and published in a public forum, we would like to respond to in the same manner. We initially met with Mrs. Lisa Pope and her family on Tuesday, January 13th. The weird thing is, I don't know where he sent this, because when he says we'd like to set the record straight, as this was discussed and published in a public forum, we'd like to respond to this in the same manner. That's from him, but he didn't want to respond in the same manner because he didn't want to be on air. So I'm a little bit confused by this. So I don't know where he sent that, but he certainly didn't send that to us. And he said he wanted to have a private conversation when we heard him, right? So he goes on to say, we met with Miss Lisa Pope and her family on Tuesday, January 13th, after the passing of her mom. We expressed our sympathy and proceeded to ask them how they'd like to proceed. They informed us that they would like to proceed with cremation, and we informed them that our cremations take place overseas. Upon learning this, they then informed us that they decided on a repatriation to Georgia, with cremation taking place there. And at no point did Ms. Lisa or the family express any discontent with this process or pricing, as it was transparent. Hold on. As it was, one second. As it was, I just lost my place. Express any discontent with this process of pricing, as it was completely their choice, which is why this is such a surprise to us. Even upon our conversation yesterday, prior to these comments, the family then informed us that they decided to move forward with another option, and we informed them of the cost for services rendered, to which they agreed. On multiple occasions, the family had the opportunity to inform us of any dissatisfaction throughout the entire process, but never did once. For over 20 years, we have and will continue to serve our community with care, and deeply saddened that these false claims have been made. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sandy. With the cremation topic, when I had my little girl, me and my husband decided to cremate the baby because I don't have no personal family member buried to make her be buried next to. So I didn't want to leave her out there by herself.
Right.
What was told to me when I was going through my process with my child, they said that they only offer cremations to newborns as like a free thing. Like if the baby born and passed, they will, if you want your child to be cremated, they will offer it for the baby, but they don't offer it for no adults.
Who is they? Is they Churchill?
Yes. I got my baby cremated for free by Churchill.
But Churchill doesn't have a crematory.
Well, that's why I got my baby cremated.
So how did they?
I can send you a picture of her ashes.
How did they cremate? They sent your baby overseas and brought her back?
I don't know, but Churchill did my baby cremation for me.
Because I mean, he even said to me in our conversation that he can't get permission to have a crematory.
Well,
so
that's not true, Sandy. I got my baby ashes. I have my baby ashes in a teddy bear, and I did it here on island.
Well, that's a question.
Yeah. I did it here. I can send you a picture of her death certificate, and I can send you a picture of the ashes that it came into, the little urn that they gave it to me. Because the urn that they gave my baby in, it was like a plastic thing with an orange cap, and it had her information sticked on it with a little tape.
Well, they I mean, all I can tell you is they have no legal rights to cremate because they don't have a crematorium. So I'm confused about. Would you be surprised if I told you right now that I've got a source that's saying that it was actually Bauden that did the cremation on your baby?
Yes, Bauden Funeral Services. Yes. That's where I got my stuff from.
No. You said, that's why I was asking if it was Churchill.
Oh no, not Churchill. Borden. Borden did it.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, that's the confusion. That's why you had me confused. I'm like, Churchill can't do it because they don't have a crematorium. No, Baden can do it.
No.
So Baden
Yeah,
has the
Borden did it.
facility. Yeah, Churchill doesn't. So
Mhm.
apparently what Churchill does is they will send the body overseas and then bring it back, send the ashes back. So no. I mean, Baden can do it. They have the crematorium. So, okay.
Yeah,
So that was
Borden, yeah, I got it mixed up. Yeah, Borden, the one that who did mine. Well, that's what they should have had told her, that Borden could have do it and not Churchill. Because I got mine done. I got my baby done by by Borden, sorry. I get the two of them mixed up. I don't know why,
it's important. Yeah, it's important in this discussion to not mix them up because there is a real distinction here. But yes, Baden does offer it, but Churchill does not. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for that.
So that, so I was just wanting to make you know that because I did got my baby cremated on island. It did happen on island. And it happening right there. I think it happened next to the hospital because I think they're the ones that nearest to the hospital, I believe.
Right. Yep.
So they should have made her know that Borden did it instead of giving her Churchill's because they referred Borden to me.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I think Borden only does it for free when it comes to newborns. I think it only for newborns. I'm not sure about the adults. So I just wanted to make you know that I had got mine done on island.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, my dear.
Problem.
Yes, so we do know that Baden offers it. This confusion, based on what this lady was saying, has to do with Churchill, and she was told by somebody at HSA that Churchill did it. And apparently Churchill can have it done overseas for you, but they do not do it in Cayman because they do not have the facility here. Okay. So there's a lot of back and forth here about pricing and all sorts of stuff. It's a mix-up story. And it's unfortunate that, this is surrounding the passage of a loved one. So again, there is this question of this charged, right? And I do have a copy of the actual funeral invoice dated December the 6th, 2025, where it has all the fees, transportation of the body, pick up from HSA, $610, administration fee of $1,464, embalming form, $976. So this is where the $3,000 bill comes in. And so someone says, what on earth is the administrative fee for? It's like 4 emails and a trip to government admin to pay $30. And they're charging almost $1,500 for that. Everything Cayman is overpriced, I suppose. They say, yeah, he has the right to charge whatever he wants. But, that they thought that fee was ridiculous. Yeah. So I do have, let me see, there's another invoice here as well. Let me just look at this one. So then please see the breakdown listed below for the cremation and transportation of the deceased. Oh, yeah. So then this, basically, I got to tell you something that's really funny is, it turns out the Baden funeral home is actually cheaper. I mean, a lot of people are like, no, the Baden funeral home, not a white people, rich people funeral home. Well, y'all might want to shop around when it comes to your deceased and your loved ones. I'm just saying. Because, on the one hand, we're being told that, yes, it's $3,000 fee, but that's still less than what they would cremate. And I say, okay, let me do some fact checking of this. When people talk about, international shipping, the service of $8,000, that you're going to pay because you got to send this body overseas, $8,000 for repatriation, and then all sorts of stuff, the airline costs. I mean, he did give me a breakdown of what he said the fees were on his end. And then I got a breakdown of what Baden was charging, the actual invoice. And what I can tell you is, in a shocking kind of way, I was really surprised myself. Like, I don't have an experience with funeral homes, but what I can now tell you is that here is the actual invoice that she received. And they charge several $100s less for transportation, standard cremation, container and shipping the urn, $450, cremation fees only $1,200, admin fee $400. And that is the admin fee paperwork for shipping and stuff, the body. This other invoice with the admin fee being $1,500, I'm confused. I am really confused. So I don't get what people are paying for. Y'all need to shop around, apparently, even when it comes to your deceased loved ones. Okay, so the total here, $2,850. And that includes all this stuff, airfare estimate for the urn. And then here you have just basically three things, and you're paying way more than that. And this is not even sending the body overseas. This is crazy. I mean, I know that everybody's in it to make money, but if you can still make money at a fraction of the price and get more services completed, I'm just telling y'all to shop around. That's all I'm going to say. And then there was some plain direct cremation, $2,500. They said that's BS. No BS. And the deceased doesn't have to be embalmed and doesn't have to fly twice. So there's a lot of questions about why that the fees were kind of attached in the way in which they were. And then the question came up, why would you use a freight forwarder in Miami when we have direct flights to Atlanta that you could just put? And how do you ship a urn? Or I guess if you're sending the body back, because the family will pick up the urn, right? They're going to wait and get the urn, or are you guys shipping it? But if you're sending a body, I would think you'd try to do the most direct flight possible. All I can tell you is shop around when it comes to your loved ones, by all means, because there's a difference in price and a difference in what it is that you're getting, right? So I don't know. Island Pearl says Baden has always been cheaper. It's just that Churchill has more flexibility in terms of payment plans. And I mean, as we've seen here on this show, there has been some questions about when government is paying for it, because when government is paying for it, you're not supposed to be, you get like a basic package. But what we know for a fact, because we've seen it happen here before, where government pays for the basic package and then that person is still upgrading and then begging for community donations. And that's not supposed to happen. No one who's getting government to pay for it should be able to upgrade, because then you better go find your own money to pay for that fancy casket and all these other things that you want. Sarah says our entire funeral was only $3,500 at Baden. Another person says that we take all sorts of payment plans, so that's not correct. They both offer, I guess, flexibility. I mean, I don't know what kind of payment plans y'all have. What a hot mess. Somebody says, isn't it the tradition in most countries not to bury after dark? Funerals are very expensive. Compare the funeral packages. In the past, Baden's was more expensive. Well, I don't think that that's the case anymore. Did you say anything about the call from Churchill? So somebody else was asking for an update as well this morning. Another person says, this gal with the cremated baby can't tell a story. She would get people in trouble. How many times you not say here if it was Churchill's? And she said yes. Yeah, she was a little bit confused. Another person says, morning, Sandy. What seems puzzling is why didn't Churchill give the people the option that they could go to the competitor, Bawden's, if they wanted to cremate? Plus, the hospital should have given the lady both funeral home details so that she could make a choice. So I think now that this is where the HSA needs to kind of fix this. And what you could do to fix this is have a standard card, referral card, that all staff, whoever, I don't know, when somebody's deceased, I don't know if it's only specific people they talk to or, but make sure everyone has this kind of standard card that has both options, contact details, because, expats not going to, they're in a different country. It's confusing. It's, so both details. And then you can just have a little note. This one has a crematory. This one doesn't. Simple as that. So maybe they need a little calling card or something so that they don't get it right. So they don't get it wrong. My apologies. So somebody says, yes, Churchill sends the body overseas to be cremated. And to me, that's crazy. To send the body overseas to be cremated and then turn around and send it back. Send the ashes back. And I'm not trusting those crematoriums overseas. I don't care what nobody wants to say. Because I've heard one too many stories and too many police reports about they be giving you other people's ashes, girl. If people can't pay all, they can pay what they can, when they can, and we work with them. So that's Bawden's Funeral Home. Someone says, so apparently there's a bit more involved in getting crematory approved, and I can't say why. I think the first, well, I'll tell you what Churchill said to me, because again, it's a public discussion, Mr. Churchill. Don't get offended, but it was a public discussion. That's why you should have just had it on air. So, I don't know what you're calling me in private for, because we can tell the people. So Bawden's Funeral Home does it. I had my grandmother cremated there. Before any funeral home can render services for cremation, it has to get an approval from the coroner, a judicial, and it can be done after approval. No, well, that's not what we're talking about here. They don't have the crematorium. They don't have that facility. So that approval you have to have that in place before you can go and get, I think what you're saying is each specific cremation, there's like a process, right? So if they need the body for like autopsy purposes and so on, that's different. So yeah, it is a bit of a strange situation, but they said that their neighbors objected based on where they are there on Eastern Avenue. And then they were trying to do it at another location, like a warehouse or something. And then I don't know what happened with that, but they said they're having a warm time getting it approved. So, sometimes that happens with businesses. This person also says Bawden's is also flexible with payments. So, yep. Shipping, different fees and procedures and regular cargo. Yes. Morning, don't read this on air. So why are you sending it to me? Okay. The price difference could be the quality of products used. What kind of quality of products do you think they're using on dead people? Okay. As for government, I know for a fact that you can't upgrade, and CIG has picked the most atrocious looking casket and there isn't even an option A or B. Well, maybe the funeral home needs to offer whatever that government package is, a better looking casket. I mean, I don't know what it looks like, but it's up. I mean, obviously the funeral home is working with government to say this is the package we can give you at the set price. And then, oh, they responded. I never saw that response. All right. So listen, the lady did record her conversation with Bodden because she's saying now the story getting all twisted, and that's why she wanted to record it, and she wanted us to share that recording. So we will do so. Aisle 2025 says Bodden's about to get more business. Laughing out loud, $1,000 admin fee is crazy. Wow. What is the urn made out of? I don't know. Probably some sort of metal. All right. Let's have a look at the video that she shared. So she recorded her conversation because she said for the same reason, she really felt like there was going to be some mix-up story here. So let us now have a listen. Give me 1 second here. Let me see where this is. Let us have a listen to... Oh gosh, hold on. Where did I download it? Oh, yes, it's an audio. It's downloaded as a voice note. It's actually a video, but anyway, let's listen to what was said. Okay, let me just see now how I can upload this. Give me 1 second. I'm actually going to grab the video because I think that makes more sense here. All right. 1 second here. What a hot mess. Okay. So she said, listen, I thought there was going to be some mix-up story here. So here's what went down.
Your concern was with you have mentioned, if I'm not making a mistake, about the hospital. We don't charge
It's kind of hard to hear.
Oh, because that's what you said when I talked to you yesterday, that I would have to pay you for the storage. So I was like, I understood that, and then I found out later that it's a relationship with you in the hospital. The only other thing is, I think that once we got back and I spoke to my brothers, it was that the same thing that we're doing on that end, we would have to do again on this end if we just had the body ship. But initially, the plan before we left the hospital, when they asked us, was that we just wanted her cremated. And they told us that you were able to cremate, and that's why they called you to come and get her, because they said that you had a crematory. Well, now I understand that you don't have or you do have a crematory, but it's not a functioning crematory and it's not useful. So, which meant all the other things that would have to be added, the embalming and all that stuff, only because you didn't have the crematory. So those are things that are not our issue, that the embalming, you know what I'm saying, the notification for that, because that's something that you kind of added on because you weren't able to cremate. And so that's not fair for us to have to assume that responsibility, because it was falsely represented that you were able to cremate. And then we got there, we realized that you weren't able to cremate her. So at this point, I didn't know until I talked to the U.S. consulate that there was a crematory that we could have.
My apologies. I think I misspoke. Getting all the funeral homes confused in my head. This is a conversation. My apologies if I said Bodden. I didn't mean to say Bodden. I meant to say this is her conversation with Churchill, where she's, now sort of recapping in a recorded conversation what she said transpired and what happened. And you can hear her saying to him, this is what you said, this is how it went down, so on and so forth. So this is her conversation with Churchill. So my apologies if I said Bodden, because somebody else said, yeah, you actually said Bodden just now. So sorry about that. This is actually Churchill.
Had her cremated on the island, but we were led to believe that you could do what the other company could do. And so now that we understand that you can't.
We have no relation.
I understand that you don't have a relationship, but I'm saying you cannot do what they can do on the island. We were led to believe that you could do the same thing that they can do, but you cannot.
Yeah, that's why during the meeting we have mentioned that we have a crematorium.
Right.
in Florida.
Right, but that would require, transporting the body over
And paying $3,000 to
overseas
embalm
and
her.
paying
We didn't
$3,000
have
or
to do
paying
that.
for the embalming fee. I think that I didn't even look at the itemization.
Our cremation services is $3,500 is our cremation service, and we don't charge for airline.
But that was
So why
what
didn't
I
we do
got
that?
was in the initial what we paid the $8,000 for. It said that it was for the embalming $1,300, for the transport $3,000, and then for the cost of the flight $3,000, and then for this is the document that I have. To pick up the body, $600 in Miami. All of those fees wouldn't be necessary if we were just cremating on the island, is what I'm saying. I thought that, we didn't know that that was the only option that we had, was to do this, because we came to you because we thought that you were able to cremate. Not that you would ship the body and charge us to ship the body to be cremated, because we could have just, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm just trying to get, I didn't hear you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just come in shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, when I've spoken to you all around the table, and I've mentioned that we have our warehouse, we just bought it, and our crematorium, we're just waiting
Right,
for
but
government
from what I
approval.
understand now, you've had that crematory for about 5 years and haven't been able to get it approved. So you said to us that you just bought it.
No, we don't have it for 5 years.
Well, it's not that you just purchased it. Somebody that is connected on the island has told us like the details, and I'm like, well, you falsely represented 2 things. One, that you were able to cremate, so we had you to collect her body, and they added you to that document. And then 2, that you, once we got there, that it was just that it wasn't functional. But that threw everything that we planned, or that we asked and intended, it threw it off, because now everything that they said was not true.
Yeah, so when we discussed during our meeting, I've mentioned about our crematorium. We already waiting for government to give the approval.
Right, but the hospital should have told us that you were not able to cremate. They told us that you were, and so that was a misrepresentation, because we got to your office under the impression that you were able to do a cremation on the island. And not until we got to a meeting with you where we explained to that you cannot do the cremation on the island, that you ship the body to Miami for the cremation. So at that point, we were just thinking that this is a fair and a reasonable thing. And only till I got back, and my brothers are like, absolutely not. There's no reason for you to do that. And then we have to still do the same services here. So the $8,000 that I paid there, I'll have to pay the additional fees here to have the same services done. And it doesn't make sense. And so that wasn't a reasonable thing. You understand what I'm saying?
I'll just make the one thing shortly, Miss Lisa. Okay, so when we met, I've discussed everything as well in regards to the cremation.
Right. No. But we didn't. But when we came to you because we were told that you had a crematory and were able to do the cremation. Not until we got into your office and you had my mother's body already, did you disclose that you weren't able to do that? And that wasn't true. So that's not a fair thing to do to anybody. And I really was excited and loved like the idea of working with your company and taking care of my mom. We just want to make sure that my mom gets what we want her to have, and that it's a fair and a reasonable situation, so that we can just kind of finalize her life. Like this almost like resurrects her into a chaotic situation, and it's disruptive.
Okay, well, I'm just going to pop in here. I'm sorry that you're going through this. This is Churchill, the funeral director. Again, I apologize if the hospital misled you that our crematorium was operational here. Yeah. Again, we cremate in the U.S.
Yeah, they didn't say that to us in the hospital.
Right, and again, we do apologize that they didn't elaborate that. We've got our crematory in Florida. We cremate for $3,500. The reason that your bill was $8,000 is because when you're sending human remains from the Cayman Islands to another country, there's a funeral home who had to receive it.
Correct.
And have to put on to a different flight, and this is where the expense got higher.
We understand.
Because so whatever we have to do in order for your mom to for this to be over and done with, we will. Again, we apologize for anything that happened.
No, I understand it, and I don't think that it was with extreme malice. I just think it was a little deception, and then we didn't know, and so not until we kind of got settled did we realize it. So we would really just rather her be picked up by the Bowden Funeral Home, and then they're going to cremate her, and then they'll just send the remains, and then the documentation
No problem.
will have to.
And we'd love to see that, make sure that happens.
Okay.
And move forward with that.
Okay, I appreciate it, and I really want to thank you guys for everything that you did do, in this work, because it was, in as much as we knew it was okay, and just now we just know different, and we just needed to make an adjustment.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And again, even though your mom would be flown off to be cremated, we still provide a cremation for all people on the island.
Got it. But it actually is going to involve the embalming, and all of that stuff has to happen. And so we didn't want to really have to necessarily go through all of that. So I understand. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I spoke to Bill about altering what the amount was, so we can move forward and solve that, and then we'll go ahead
and release her. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Yeah, because he said he's about to.
Okay. So, I thought that Lisa was very, very respectful. She was expressing herself. There was nobody should feel any way about that conversation. She was very respectful in explaining why they were confused and what they thought and why they felt like he was misleading them a little bit. I do think that it's fair to say that you should explain to people, because especially as an expat and even locals, I don't know how many people know that they don't have a crematory, and that in order for them to cremate, it's even more complicated. And that $8,000, when they're sending her one direction, what do you pay if you're in Cayman and they have to send it back and forth? Because one direction they're sending a body, next direction they're sending an urn. Did you guys know? Maybe this will be our poll question of the day. How many of you knew that they didn't offer on-island crematory services? Now, it's interesting that he is trying to say that they offer cremation in, where did he say, Miami? Somewhere in the States. And I'm like, that's not, you're working with another funeral home to cremate these bodies. That's really not you. You're not offering that service because your company's in Cayman. So how are you offering the service in Miami? You're an international funeral home now? No. So yes, I get that people can work together, and it sounds like he's got someone in Miami that will do it, where basically they send the body there, they do it, and then if it's a Caymanian or someone who wants it to come back here, they will send the body back here. But that should be fully explained. You don't tell people that you have a crematory service and give the impression that that's in Cayman. Now, I don't know, I don't know what this device looks like. I guess it's some kind of big burning thing. And so she says that she was told that they have one on island, but it's been here for like 5 years and it's not licensed or anything like that. I don't know what the lifespan is of any of these things. Let me be honest here. It is an interesting conversation. And maybe if the funeral homes are open to having, I would love to interview. I'm not fond of funeral homes. I think I've only been to Baden Funeral Home once in my entire life. So you're not going to catch me hanging out at the funeral home. I don't typically go to funerals either. So, it's, if you see me show up to a funeral, that hits a little bit differently. So yeah. Let's read some of your comments. Someone says government pays up to $3,500 for the funeral home package. So it's for the family to be wise when picking out stuff. The funeral books and all the unnecessary pictures is what takes most of the money. What more do they want government to cover? Good morning. Honestly, I don't understand the fixation on the looks of a casket when it's going into the ground for no one to see. Is it to impress the people attending the funeral? why Churchill can't work with Baden and use their cremation facilities on island. I mean, I don't know that. I'm not sure the logistics of working with your competition and how that would work. I mean, all they have to do is say, we don't have crematory services. And then, I think the family members, if they want cremation, have the option of having the body obviously go to Baden. So I don't know what to say in response to that. How would you work with them? Just give them the body. And I guess if they just wanted Baden to cremate it and send it back to Churchill for the rest of the funeral, I guess that could happen too. But I think at some point it doesn't make any money sense to keep going back and forth, right? But HSA should be held liable too. Why are they being specific with who persons use? This is where I think is a problem that they should now fix. Give both funeral home details and let the family contact both. This is wrong of HSA. So I don't know exactly who at HSA gave her that information, but clearly they misinformed her. And now this has led to one pile of mix up. But Lisa, I have a question for you. Someone wants to know, did Churchill charge them? So can we understand what Churchill charged you for in the end? Because you make mention of an $8,000 bill. So what did you end up paying in the end? Can I see a copy of that invoice? What did that include? So I'm guessing the $3,000 invoice that we have is what you eventually paid instead of the $8,000. Damn. This person says, I've never been a fan of Churchill's. Baden's did the funeral for both my parents, and it was an exceptional service on both occasions. Scott Ruby is a blessing to Cayman and Baden's funeral home. Did Churchill still charge them? So somebody wants to know if Churchill still charged you. Lisa, let us know. I do have that invoice. I'm wondering, was that the final invoice then, the $3,000 as opposed to the $8,000? That's crazy. Oh, somebody found a bunny. Has anybody lost a bunny in West Bay? If you've lost a bunny, we're going to post that. Somebody else just saying that they found a dog. So why doesn't he work with Baden Funeral Home to cremate on island? Again, I think this comes down to competition. I mean, I'm sure they could do something. I mean, I don't know exactly what, but no, he sends the body off and then brings it back. To me, that's crazy. That is a little bit crazy to do it that way. Yep, somebody else says, yes, Churchill sends the body overseas to be cremated. All right. If you're missing a dog, let me see location. If you're missing a dog, he's super cute. Oh, I see. This is Prospect. Okay. Oh, he's so cute. Might tweet him. If you're missing a dog in Prospect, please reach out, folks. We may have your dog. Good morning, caller.
Morning. I just wanted to jump on here real quick and give my experience with both funeral homes.
Okay.
Having worked at a church for 6 years, I worked closely with both funeral homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say that they both give exceptional service. And that's not just coming from me, but also from the families of the deceased.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think, I mean, obviously if you had a personal experience with them or whatever, but in my experience and what I've seen, they both give exceptional service. I think that this issue could have easily been resolved, and where Churchill went wrong is that, yes, especially since the person was an expat, and given that, you know, they would have to ship the body overseas, and that's where they're going anyways, they should have simply said, hey, look, we offer crematory services, but we ship the body overseas. There's another company that can do it here on island. It's probably best if you go there. I think that's where they went wrong, and they just need to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
That's my personal opinion. But I've worked closely with both funeral homes, and I've heard from families exceptional things about both.
Right. Yeah. And I think
I just wanted to say that.
Yes, I appreciate that as well. And I think that what in the end is really the thing here is that communication. You know, that's what it comes down to. So there were some communication issues I think, from the jump when HSA got involved. And then that led to, Churchill needed to properly explain when he says, yes, they offer cremation services. He needed to say that is not in the Cayman Islands. Because most people would be like, why would you be sending a body overseas to then turn around and have it cremated? There you go. Thank you, caller.
All right. Thank you.
Got another call on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Hi.
I was listening carefully. I don't know if that was Churchill's son. The boy's son familiar to me. I spoke to him before. He was very respectful. Things might go wrong, but he was very respectful because I listened carefully. Yes, board might be cheaper, but I've been working airport as a taxi driver. I used to Churchill. He started out in business land. And I am going to stick with my Churchill. I'm not rich, but I'm going to stick with my Churchill. God hold me.
Okay.
Yeah, what he could have done, he could have worked with Borden for the time being until he gets himself thought out. I'm not telling you about that instead of to send it overseas. But I'm not going to put him down. No way. I'm not going to put him down.
Well, I don't think anybody's putting him down. We're just trying to get to the facts of what actually transpired.
Yeah, I hear what happened. He could have worked with Borden for the time being, since he's on the island and they're all Caymanians. You get me? Instead of sending overseas. You see? But I'm going to stick with him. As long as my body, I pray to God that I can come home. So.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, you're all the way in the UK, so I don't think you have to probably worry about it, either one of them. I mean, have you spoken to your family about if something happens to you over there, what the plans are?
Don't worry.
Because that's a lot to send a body from. That's a lot to send a body from the UK. All right. Thank you, my dear. The other thing is, I think a lot of people don't tell their family members what their wishes are. And this is something that you guys need to have a conversation. And it's so weird because even myself, like I think about this, my husband's from Jamaica. So I think to myself, I don't know if I've had a conversation with him. We don't have plots or anything like this. And this reminds me that we probably should have it. Nobody ever wants to talk about these things. You're like, oh, who wants to have a living will and talk about these types of issues? Nobody. And so at the end of the day, it's probably a good idea to let people know your wishes, because some people, they don't want to be cremated. Some people do. Some people don't care. He's never said a strong preference for, do I need to repatriate you to Jamaica to have a service there? Like, I don't know. And it's probably a good idea to have the conversation before it's really needed, if you understand what I mean, before the person has died. And then you're like, oh gosh, I don't know. So Miss Lucille's all the way in the UK. We've had people in the UK before who passed away, people overseas. What do? Do you cremate them first and then just bring them back and then just have a little service here? It's kind of, Gabby says, I got confused. I don't know. It was a crime to get confused. Sue me. Oh my gosh. Sexually, strong will, we mentioned this last week, sexually arrested. No, not sexually arrested. You mean allegedly sexually assaulted. The lady, I was told, contacted the police, but we have not heard anything further, anything directly from her. So I can only tell you what's on the mall road, right? Lisa says, we were told that because of the fumes, we needed to have my mom embalmed. What fumes? I'm confused. All right. So in the end, you paid $1,600, the admin fee. Okay. Some people asking if it's legal to record a conversation. I'm trying to remember in the Cayman Islands what the rules are. But she's in the US, so she's saying in America, the rules are different. I think that really and truly, oh no, they sent an updated invoice for $3,050 after that. So you end up paying $3,000 instead of the original $8,000. Island Pearl says the caskets that are included in the government package looks like a DIY project with some dark wood varnish. Well, here is the thing. Again, it's sad that government even has to be paying for your funerals, because I think, quite frankly, you guys need to start setting aside the respective funds to be able to, have the service of your loved ones to your liking. Set aside $5,000. So when somebody dies, like, you have money set aside. Have insurance. Maybe that's even a better option. There's some insurance out there that you get where it's like a funeral package type of insurance. But what I can tell you is government obviously will set a price. I don't think government is saying you have to choose this casket or whatever, but it's the package that the funeral home has used. And I'm going to show you the differences, right? So you guys are complaining about a singular casket, and that's at Churchill's. Now, somebody sent me a picture of the one at Churchill, and then I'm going to show you what Baden offers. So let me show you that Baden getting some free advertising this morning for real. But let me just say this. Baden has a number of different finishes, and I don't know what sort of ornament y'all need for these caskets, but I think all of these hit the mark for putting a dead body in. Come on now. So these are the options that you can get on the government plan with Baden. So you actually have 4 options. They've got this blue, this light blue finish. That's appropriate for men, I guess. Blue crepe interior. You have the this one, which looks like a little bit of a silver color. You have this one, which is more of a, what is that color? Oh, antique white finish. And you also have this one, which is a pink finish. So you get 4 options with Baden on the government plan. Pick one. I mean, they don't look too bad as caskets go. I don't know exactly what y'all expecting. And then my understanding is that the one that is with Churchill is a little bit different, but I don't think y'all need to be blaming government for this, because I'm sure if Churchill picked another casket with the same price point, government isn't going to care what the casket looks like. It's the price point that they're saying we're only going to pay $3,500. So maybe Churchill needs to give more options for the government package, because apparently I'm told, and again, I'm not in the casket business. I've never been to any of these funeral homes to arrange anything for anyone, but I am told that this is the singular option. This person says in June 2025, this is the approved DFS package at Churchill's. Okay. Now, someone says he asked DFS to allow him to offer male and female option, and he was told no, that was his final decision. I don't believe that, because if Baden can offer 1, 2, 3, 4 options for the same government package pricing, like I said, I know government don't care whether you pick a pink casket, a white casket, a blue casket, or a gray casket, right? The silver finish versus just this one. That has nothing to do with DFA. The funeral home can put together multiple packages and keep it at that same price point. I think what you have happening here, to be quite frank, is they have selected the cheapest possible one. Like someone says, it looks like a DIY program, DIY project, that maybe that's what's going on here. They could give people more choices. Good morning, caller. Turn down your radio for me. Hello? Caller. All right, folks, when you call, please have your radio turned off so you can be listening through the phone properly. You have to call back once you turn it down. So they sent an updated invoice for $3,050 after that call. In all fairness, she said the hospital told her that Churchill's could cremate. They corrected her at Churchill's when she came to them. I'm not clear why she's saying Churchill deceived her. They were not the ones who told her they do it. Well, again, Lisa, I wonder if we couldn't get Lisa on the phone, because I think there's a lot of... Lisa, can we just call you? Because I have a few questions for you. Hold on, Lisa. Caller, let me just call you back. And you still got your radio on. What the hell? Turn the radio off. Hey, let's ask Lisa a few questions.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Good morning.
Hello.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Let me just put it in the right settings. Okay. Yeah, we just had a couple of questions for you because I think it is a little confusing.
Absolutely. I'm here for you.
Yeah. First of all, our condolences on the loss of your mom.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's got to be horrible to come on vacation and then have to deal with any of this, to be honest.
It was unimaginable, but she was in a place that she was happy, and it happened so fast. She doesn't even know that she expired. She was laughing and talking, and a minute later she was gone.
Wow.
So we take the blessing in that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. She did not suffer. That's good.
No, she did not.
So, all right, we get the point that the HSA, and I think the confusion starts with the hospital, right? That they kind of messed up and they gave you misinformation.
That's correct.
When
so
you,
let me
yes, walk us through it.
Let me just tell you how we came about. So it was my sister, my daughter, and myself and my mom on this holiday. And when all this happens, it's my sister, myself, and my daughter are left behind. Well, they had a flight out, a Delta flight out at 1:00 that day. I had already moved my mother and I's flight to the next day because, she was in the hospital. So they were on the phone with Delta trying to get their flight rescheduled so they didn't lose their flight. The police are there because my mom died within 24 hours of being hospitalized. The police have to be involved. So the police are there doing an interview. The doctor is there in this consultation room explaining to me what happened. She's like, I want to let you know exactly what happened, with your mom. And then there was a young lady that her name was Mary. And Mary, I think her badge says she was a patient assistant or patient, something like that. Like, I don't think she was a nurse or a doctor, but she was somebody I think that was there to support us. Her name was Mary. And then there was another young lady that came in with a document, and she was like, I just need you to fill this in and I'll fill the rest of it out later. I need your mom's information and you as next of kin. So mind you, all of this is happening in one instant. This is probably less than 30 minutes after my mom expired. So of course we are like just trying to calm ourselves from the shock and then take care of this business. And so the document that she had me sign was actually, when I read it later, was a document that said that the hospital's forensic floor was under construction and that they were using these two relative funeral homes to house the bodies because they didn't have a place to house them at the hospital.
Let me just stick a pin.
That's what this document was.
Let me just stick a pin there because, we have talked about the Health Services Authority in the past. And this is one of the criticisms that we've had about them is they don't even have the facility right now to house bodies.
And we didn't know that, of course. Yeah, and we had no idea. Yeah. And so we weren't explained that. She was just trying to get it arranged to have the body removed from the hospital. So this is what this young lady, that's the only thing that she came to do. And so literally, I didn't even read. She's like, oh, don't worry about the rest of it. I just need your mom's information and next of kin. We'll fill in the rest of it later. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So I never stopped to read the document or all of that, which was, I accept responsibility for, but in the moment, we were being assured that no worries. I just need this so we can contact the funeral home too. So they had a conversation with my sister, Mary did, and said, Churchill is the funeral home. And so, they had been so compassionate to us in the moments after my mom's death. We trusted whoever was there. And so they were like, this is, so when they asked me, I was like, oh, I have no idea. Like, I don't know anything about a funeral home here. And so Mary said, no, Churchill. And so I was like, my mom wanted to be cremated. We are very clear. We don't need any excess services. We just want a cremation. So there was a conversation that, it's kind of difficult to cremate on the island. And I was like, I don't know what that means. So the officer's there and Mary
was this a phone conversation that you were having?
No. We are in the consultation room. This is within 30 minutes of my mom's dying. We're there in this.
So this is with police and then the patient,
so the
whatever,
police,
at the HSA.
Correct. The doctor, all of us were in this room together. And so the officer said, we only have one crematory on the island. And Mary said, oh, no. Churchill has a crematory too. And she was like, oh, really? I didn't know that since when? And she said, yeah, they do. They have a crematory now. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, if whoever Mary's suggesting has a crematory, we'll go with that. Like, I'm fine with that. I don't know. We have no idea. And I don't know why I kept thinking that I heard multiple funeral homes, but my sister and my daughter were like, no, they only said 2. And I was like, well, I missed all of that. But she just was like, the only name we ever heard was Churchill. So we go to Churchill. And something that was probably like the trigger for me that I felt, but I didn't feel enough to say pause for a second, was they were like, okay, we get a call. So Churchill calls my phone. I don't know I have no contact for them. We get a call in on my phone, and my daughter has my phone, and she answers, and they're like, hey, this is Will from Churchill. Okay, no problem. She hands me the phone. I'm like, hi. He was like, hey.
So this is when you were still at the HSA, at the hospital?
We're still in this office.
So how did he get your phone number?
I have no idea. All I know is he called my phone. And when he called, my daughter gave me the phone, which we were there together. So there are all these witnesses here. And he just says, we're so sorry to hear about your mom, but we will be taking care of da 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 da.
So it sounds like somebody's in cahoots with, I'm just saying, this seems a little bit obvious, but someone is working with Churchill to give them referrals. I mean, that's what
Which was fine with us. Like, I didn't care about that as long as what we were asking for was going to be what we were met with, because I was like, whatever, I don't really care who does it. I don't have a preference. I just know that this is what we want. So after this happens, I'm like, well, when I said specifically to him, well, before you take her, we want to see her one last time here. And he said, no problem. So he comes and he didn't come. Some young man came, and they kind of had a little thing where they closed off the space. And so when he got there, they were like, oh, the funeral home has got it. Literally within 5 minutes. The funeral home was there, and I'm like, oh, we want to see her again before she leaves. And they were like, take as much time as you need. It's okay. Like, there's no rush. Within probably 2 minutes, they were like, well, the funeral home's ready to take her. And I'm like, well, dang, I thought y'all said take as much time as we wanted. So we were like, okay, no problem. But the police at that time also said, we have to escort the body because we are doing this interview. We have to escort the body. So do you have a car? And I was like, yes, we rented a car when we came on the island. So she was like, okay. I was like, I can just follow you, because she was going to, I guess, give us a ride. And I was like, oh, no, I can follow you. So they like scurry and leave. I just so happened we all walked out together, but they left. And by the time I got to the car, I'm like, I can't believe they pulled off. So anyway, I catch them up the street and I get behind them. Correct. So
I didn't even know. I mean, this sounds like a lot. I got to tell you, your poor brain.
It is. Yeah.
But I didn't even know that police had to escort a body. I mean, I didn't know that.
So I guess that's a part of the process that the hospital is employing these funeral homes. So they have to ensure the safe transport of the body to that place that's holding the body, because the hospital would otherwise be responsible for holding this body. So in line with, I guess, their process, I'm assuming that she was like, we have to escort the body. They collected my mom's passport. So they told me that, we'll have to take her passport to the U.S. consulate's office and all the things. And I was like, okay, no, all of this is happening. Like, literally, I'll have to look at the timestamp on my phone, but it had to be within 40 minutes of my mom expiring. So we get to the funeral home. So when we get there, there's nobody there. I think there was two other men that were in the lobby. And so Will takes us into his office. We sit down and we feel very safe. And, they brought her in, they put her into the garage. We didn't really see her body, but, they had taken care of all that by the time we were like a few steps behind them. And so when we get inside, Will, is like, I'm so sorry for your loss. I have to discuss some very sensitive things that are very hard. I know this is very close, this just happened. I'm like, yes. I was like, but we're ready. We are a very close-knit family. I'm on the phone with my brother, because I have 2 brothers back home who we needed to contact. And so we get all that done. And then when we get in the office, I said, well, we just want a cremation. Like, we just, they said that you guys could cremate her. And he was like, well, we do. But the first thing he handed me was a document to embalm for me to sign. And I was like, oh, we don't need an embalming. We just want the cremation. Like, we just need her cremated. He was like, yeah, but in order to do the cremation, we have to do an embalming. I'm like, I don't know why. I said, but it says here on the document, it's not a government requirement. The embalming is not required. Like, why do we need to do an embalming? Then he explains, we don't have a crematory here. We send the body to Miami for cremation. We partner with a funeral home in Miami. And I was like, oh, so in order for you to export the body or to send the body through customs, it has to be embalmed. So that's why you need to embalm. And then he said, yeah, and then there are fumes that when the body is cremated without embalming, there are fumes. And I was like, I've never heard of that before. But I'm like, okay, maybe this is something new I don't know about. And he was saying something about the government and the fumes from a cremation without embalming, which I was like, that's weird. And so we were just like, okay. I was like, okay, well, whatever. So I signed the document for the embalming. And then he kind of goes through, he was like, I need clothes. And I'm like, but why do you need clothes? We're just doing a cremation. Like, why do you need an outfit and panty and bra? And I was like, well, I have her clothes, her suitcase. Let me just go in her suitcase and see if I can find something that would be sufficient to, do this. So then when he said they would send the body to Miami, I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense. If you send it to Miami, you may as well just send it to Atlanta. And I was like, well, maybe you could just send it to Atlanta. So instead of having whatever funeral home in Miami that now we have to partner with that we don't know, we could just bring her back to Atlanta, and we have funeral homes there we're familiar with. And so that's how we ended up with that whole process.
Yeah. So when he first said to you, this is the point that I'm trying to clarify, right? When he first said to you, when you first spoke to Churchill, and he said to you that they offer cremation services, was it clear in your mind that those services were actually not here in the Cayman Islands?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not until the embalming conversation came about did he say we partner with the crematory in. He said we just bought. You heard it on the recording.
Yeah.
We just bought a crematory, and it'll be about 6 months before the government gets the permits to use it. And I was like, oh, you're gonna have to keep her body for 6 months before you could do the cremation. And he was like, no, we partner with a crematory in Miami. And so at this point, we still feel safe and that he's saying and doing the right things. So we're like, okay, no problem. I don't know how much it should cost to do a cremation and send a body. I didn't know how much that fee should be. So initially it was $12,000. And so he started working numbers. And then when he finally gave me a number, it was 8,000. So I was like, okay, I guess that's fair. I don't know. I have no idea. But, I'm just like, thank God I'm able to afford the 12 to 8 or whatever it is. So, I didn't even look at the invoice when he gave the invoice, because my daughter was kind of looking over his shoulder. And because initially when she saw the $12,000 cost, she was like, $12,000. And then he started working the numbers, and then he was like, it turned to 8,000. But by that time he had, we were like, well, if you're gonna send the body to Miami, you may as well just send it to Atlanta. Like, it doesn't make sense, because either way, the cremation ain't gonna happen here. But we never said, well, is there another crematory here? You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't know to ask, or that there was, and that we were just kind of being pushed in this direction without giving options. Because at that point, he should have said, well, there is another option that you have on the island that you could go to, but we, would love to win your business. He didn't say that. He just said, never gave another option. Had he said that, we'd have said, okay, well, we'll just go with you guys because I really like the way you're caring for us. But you never said that. That's why after I got home, and because I think we figured everything was done. And I think that they weren't expecting us to leave so quickly, but we had moved our flights for Wednesday, which was the next day. So they were thinking we would be here at least. And he was like, we'll have this paperwork. It usually takes the hospital, maybe about 2 or 3 days before they'll get the death certificate. I'm like, oh, no, we're leaving tomorrow. And so then he's like, let me see if I can get everything expedited. So at that point, we were like just helping him to hurry up and get things done so we could get out, so we could leave the island. So, so that's, I think, how we got to that place. But never at one time did they say, well, there is another option if you just want the cremation. Because I was like, I really didn't want to get her dressed. And he's asking us what we want to do with her hair. And I'm like, my mother did not want any of that stuff. We had very clear, but because he was saying the body had to be shipped, that was what had to be done. And I'm like, well, I don't know that you have to do all that, because nobody's going to see her.
Right.
But we just kind of like went along with it, and we're like,
so
okay,
the original price tag was like $12,000. Then it went down to $8,000.
That's correct. So I swiped my credit card for $8,000, and we paid it in full, and we left, and we just were, kind of, spent the rest of the day just collecting ourselves and thinking like everything was done. He would contact us when they were ready to like for us to receive her here, because I would have to contact a funeral home here that would receive the body, because I couldn't go receive it. So it would, we would at that point working on the other side of it. And so not until I got home and the next day and I got a call from the U.S. consulate, and she said to me that there's only one crematory that's on the island. And I'm like, well, I was like, we've paid for everything already. And she was like, well, he needs to come to my office and collect her passport. I said, well, he told me he would send all the documents with the body when they shipped her body. And so she was like, wait, he would need to come by my office and collect her passport, because they wanted to get her passport back to me, because they had to cancel her passport. So I said, okay, no problem. So at that point, I have to contact him again. I'm like, hey, so something said, just wait a minute and like gather your thoughts before you call him back to tell him. So when I called him, I said, I spoke to the U.S. consulate. She said that you needed to come by her office, and the documents that were the record of death that has to go through the U.S. consulate, that goes to Jamaican consulate and back to the U.S. consulate. She said it would be like 3 weeks before that process would happen. And he said, oh no, we don't have to do any of that. And I was like, but the U.S. consulate just said that you have to do these things. Like, I'm confused. And he was like, no, we don't have to do that. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
So the U.S. consulate is telling you that her passport, which is obviously a travel document, has to accompany the body?
No.
No.
She thought we were still on the island. So she was calling me to collect her pass, to collect it. But I was like, we've already left.
Okay.
But the funeral home said that they're going to send all of the documentation from the hospital and from where else with her body. So she was like, okay, well, then they would need to come and collect her passport so they could send it with her documents. So I said, oh, okay. Like, no problem. And so, that's how we ended up in there. So I was like, well, let me see. By that time, I was like, well, I had my sister, can you just call this other funeral home and see if they can come and get mom's body to, if they can find the crematory, the place that can cremate her on the island, and see like what that looks like. And so that's when the whole thing rolled out, that I was like, oh, there were other options. So I started calling the hospital, calling the police back, because there was another officer that was supposed to contact us. That was the bereavement officer. And we still haven't heard from her, from, I guess, the hospital or wherever. I reached out to everybody, the forensic department, to the hospital, to back to the consulate's office. I'm still waiting to hear back from her. But then we just started on our own, like trying to resolve this. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. Like, so when we talked to the other funeral home, we didn't even ask the price or anything. We just like, we understand that you can cremate on site. We would rather have her cremated on the island and just send the remains back. So then that's when I called Churchill back and was like, hey, we just want you to send the body. He said, and that was that conversation that you played over the show, was when I called him back to say that. And he said, no problem, we can do that. You just need to pay us for the services we've already rendered. I'm like, oh, okay, understand. I respect that. Like, for picking up her body and for storage. He said initially for storing her for 2 days. And I was like, okay, no problem. Just send me an invoice for that. And that invoice was $3,050. I'm like, now wait a minute. She's been there less than 48 hours. And it's $3,000. Like, that sounds crazy. So I just kind of like left the conversation, and we just started working on arrangements for the cremation. And then I called him back the next day. But by that time, I had found, because I started searching everything to figure out who I could get on the island that could help us. And that's how I found your page. And when I found your page, I just posted it there, because I posted it, the same comment that I sent on your page. I sent to the police department, to the hospital, to everybody else that was that we had contact with on the island. And so your traction was the only one, I guess, that he was able to hear and like get, but they were still, kind of back and forth. So the second invoice, the first one was $3,050 with a $1,600 administrative fee. So when I spoke to him again, I'm like, what is this $1,600? He was like, that's for the documentation. I'm like, but you couldn't have even done the documentation yet, because it's only been 48 hours and the hospital hadn't even, from what we understand, hadn't even released the death certificate. So then he's like, okay, well, I can take 600 of that off. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that still seems a little high. And so it ended up being $1,900, the second invoice that we got. So, because I was like, you shouldn't have embalmed her either, because from what we understand, the police and the doctors had the last right. We gave them the approval not to do an autopsy, but it was still left up to the hospital and the police if they needed an autopsy. So you couldn't embalm her or do anything until you got that. And we never heard anything. And he was like, oh yeah, they called me yesterday. And I'm like, but they didn't call us. Like, to tell us that they didn't want it. So like, how are they only communicating with you and they never said anything to the family? So anyway, I think he rushed and did whatever because he sent, like, he eventually like dressed her, and I'm like, that was not necessary for, and he knew that wasn't necessary for cremation. So that kind of, at that point we felt like you've been little bit deceitful. You were very kind and very, passive about it, but you were deceitful. And this bill that we paid was was a result of the deceit, because it shouldn't have cost that much, because we didn't need to do all that. And you could have just said, hey, we can't do it. There's another place that can do it, but for whatever reason. And I think it's just a competition thing, maybe I don't know. But I'm like, it was only in the best interest of your care of people that you say, I can't do this, but I know someone who could take care of what you ask for. Because everybody don't want to be cremated. But so then that's how we ended up. So eventually Mr. Churchill, who's the director of the funeral home, contacted me. And he was a little upset because he was like, why would you go on the show? I was like, I sent that message to everybody trying to get help, because I felt like we were being taken advantage of, being charged $3,000 for what we now found out is a holding place that you had to pick up the body and hold it anyway for the funeral home. That's the contract that you have with the funeral home. Why would you charge us? I mean, not the funeral home, with the hospital. Yeah. Correct. Why would you charge us? And then he was like, he was not that. I'll have to share that conversation with you too, outside. But I was like, sir, like, you were deceitful. At this point, we don't trust you because you were deceitful. Now you're pushing back and you're still trying to charge us $2,000 for services that really shouldn't have been rendered. And so we weren't mad with them. I was just like, let's just do the right. I just want to get my mom out of here and have what our wishes are, taken care of. So he did zero out the invoice.
So you only got a response really once it was highlighted on this show.
That's correct. Now I did get a response back from the forensic department at the hospital that was like, we're aware of your concerns and we are putting, we've already notified the funeral home of what your wishes were. So they may have reached out to him as well and said the family doesn't want wants the remains to be transferred for cremation. But then after I talked to you was when he really got activated. And I think he was upset. And I was like, and that's fair for you to be upset, but I don't really care that you're upset, because we were equally, if not more upset, because you weren't fully honest and you knew what we wanted. And the things that you said were deceitful when you said, oh, the embalming has to happen because of fumes. And I'm like, I've never heard anything like this before. And I was like, maybe there's something in this country that they have air quality control and they won't let a body be, but it didn't make sense to me that burning a body unembalmed and embalmed were two different things. But anyway, so that's how that all transpired. But he did, he was like, we will send you a zeroed out invoice and we will transfer the body. And they did transfer the body within the hour of me coming on your show and you covered on your show. Within the hour, they had her body transferred and zeroed out the invoice. So they ultimately did the right thing. But, I was like, nobody should, if we didn't know and I didn't get that gut feeling to say, check with this other funeral home and see what the options are and make sure that we're doing the right thing, then they would have just got $8,000, sent my mom's body, and we just spent another $3,000 or $4,000 here to take care of her on the other end. And now I think the invoice that I have is like $2,800 for everything. And that's for me to pick up her remains in the morning at 9:00 for $2,800.
Wow.
20, whatever. I can't remember what that invoice was, but somewhere around there. Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. I'm going to be honest with you. Such an unfortunate situation, such an unfortunate, just drama when really there shouldn't have been. It should have been so much more straightforward than that. Someone mentioned that they hope that this doesn't tarnish your viewpoint of the Cayman Islands and that perhaps you and your family will at some point come back and visit with us. Yeah, it does come down to communication and low key, I also get the feeling here that full disclosure wasn't really what was happening here. There's information being withheld, information not properly being explained in order to get you guys to do a particular thing, which was to send the full body overseas to the facility that they use to embalm it there, when none of that was really, really necessary.
No, it wasn't.
And so that's where all the additional expense was coming in terms of like having to dress her and do all this kind of stuff. Why would you be doing that for a body that ultimately was going to be cremated?
Right.
So,
and there was never going to be a visitation. Like my mom did not want anybody to see her. And we now have the trauma of having to see it because, we wanted our last vision was that goodbye that we had in the hospital when she, had expired. But,
right.
That is, and that's, I just think that they don't understand the implications that you have on the human part of people's process when you do that. Like I get the business part of it, and I was okay and fully resolved to manage the business part, and we were financially prepared for the business part of my mom. None of that was a concern. Like if it was, we don't have any money, that would have been a different stress. But that wasn't the stress. I'm like, and you created an unnecessary stress by like doing this. And it was just, you can't win when you do that. Like you will always have some type of karma that is not going to be beneficial for your business when you don't do right by people, And he made us to believe, and we really did feel like they were doing the best and they were going to take such good care of her. And we felt good, until we found out differently. And I'm like, when you're in a crisis moment, it's good to have people around, and we were all there, thank goodness we were all there. So it wasn't just one person hearing, one person, understanding what was happening. That you can kind of, be helped. And they, they do this all the time. I'm going to never do this again. My mother's never going to die again. She's never going to, I'm never going to revisit this situation. But, someone will. And that's why we were like, oh no, I'm going to state. That's why this morning when I saw that you were on, I'm like, oh, let me go back on because it's not for me. I've gotten my situation resolved, but I don't want somebody else to have to experience this.
Right.
And I know that, people on islands, it's a very strong cultural thing. Like one of the hospitals that we went to was Indian owned hospital. It was the worst treatment I've ever experienced. And that's a whole nother conversation that I will privy you to later, our experience at the hospital. So the care that my mother got, I can say this, at HSA was amazing. Every single human being that we encountered until the Mary who was kind of pushing us to Churchill were compassionate. My mother never was uncomfortable. Like we didn't know anything was wrong. But my mom did have an underlying cancer that had spread and we didn't know. And I literally 5 days prior to this, she was just at her cancer doctor. And I think he knew that her cancer had spread and he just didn't want to tell us. But we didn't tell him that we were going on holiday. Because I was like, well, if you don't have all her labs were fine. Everything was fine. She was perfectly fine when we got there. And it just happened. I'm like, this was supposed to happen like this on this island. That you were there with your girls. We were having a wonderful time. And it just came and it snuffed her out, and that was it, because even the doctors that were there were like, we were just talking to her, like in 1 second, and the next second she stopped breathing. But then he also had seen that there were the cancer had spread, and we didn't know. And I've been caring for my mom and her cancer treatment for 3 years.
Wow.
And so it was just a perfect storm of circumstances. This was just an unnecessary part of that, but I think that sometimes your loyalty can be misguided as islanders because I understand the commitment to being the small guy in a big world. It's a British territory. I live in the United States. I know government and how things happen and how the small guy is always the underdog, So I get how you can feel like you got to fight for yourself and you can't partner with, but there's a God that will unite people of all sorts. And it doesn't have anything to do with your government affiliation or island affiliation. It's the human affiliation that are going to endure past all of that, And so because of that, if you attach yourself, like we're attached to the human, I don't go and see people as Jamaicans or Caymans or Black or white or, you know what I'm saying? We see people as human. And so my network of people aren't the people who see things that way. Because divided, you're going to continue to not find success, and you're going to have to do things for success that compromise your integrity. And it's not worth it. Yeah.
Wow.
But I appreciate you. Yeah. I appreciate your platform so much. I think you're doing a great thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my dear. Well,
Mhm.
in the end, one person says the $8,000, that was then refunded. You didn't have any issues getting that back?
No, because I had already disputed it on my American Express card anyway. We don't
Okay.
have problems in this country. Like,
Yeah.
with
Once you
things
file a
like that.
dispute, it's going
And
to
then
be.
he did, yeah. And then they did reverse it on their end. They did a reversal of the fees from Churchill, and they sent me a copy of that receipt.
Yeah.
So it was resolved. Yes.
Okay. All right. And we will reach out. I heard your comments about Health City. And of course, that's very, very concerning. And
Oh, yeah.
I've already messaged them as you're speaking to me, and they're going to get to the bottom of that, because we definitely want to hear,
Yes.
exactly what happened there. Because like I always say, your facility, is only as good as the weakest link. One person can make someone's experience really, really poor. And you can have 1,000 great experiences, but it's going to be the one bad experience that will always stick with people.
Yeah,
and
for
so,
sure. Well, when you hear this story, this story might trump the Churchill story. So, and we have recordings of that too. But I didn't know it was not legal to record on the island. But
yeah, well,
I'll
we'll put you in the right, with the right people to get that situation resolved. And the one thing I will tell you is, I always say this: nobody's perfect, and some people have poor experiences there. Some people complain about HSA. I'm glad you had a good experience there. But the one thing I do know, and this is the difference now between the HSA versus Health City, is when you bring it to Health City's attention, they identify where the issue is, including if it's a person. That person's likely going to be out of there. That's the difference. So they're going to do something about. Okay, honey, child, as we say here in the program, they gonna deal with it. Yes. All right. Yeah. Well, you as soon as we end this call, you start to send me the info, and we're gonna get on that, and we're gonna rectify that one too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm gonna get this over to you right now. Y'all have a wonderful show.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, honey. I really appreciate it.
All righty.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Lisa, for giving us all of that information. And I'm telling you that, I'm not here to swear for nobody. I'm not saying that everybody's up to par and everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing. But the one thing I know, even from my own experience, is when somebody gets it wrong over there, somebody is going to be fired. Somebody going to be sent back where they come from. The problem with some other facilities is there's not that level of accountability. When I speak to Health City, they're doing a lot of amazing, great things. But when they get something wrong and something happens, they go, "Oh, no, 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 no. Let us investigate and get to the bottom of this." So, we'll see. I don't suspect that this will be any different. All right, folks. I'm so glad that we can be here to help people navigate these things. She was so thankful to be able to reach out to the platform, because it was only at that point that, in her opinion, the body finally went. Things started to happen with the invoicing, finally got corrected, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody said, as the power of CMR, isn't that a blessing? Can we get a hallelujah up in here? Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
Glad that we are able to do that, to really help people, because I can't imagine the stress of what she was going through, and then to have all this mixed up story and this, that. Oh my God, takes a toll on you. Like she said, there's that human toll. So, what a mess. All right, so I've got to get to work because I have a meeting this morning. And so there are a few questions, though, that have come out of this. My question is about the HSA's part in this. Why was that person so hell-bent on referring them specifically to Churchill? Is there some kind of referral program in place? Are they getting kickbacks because of that? I mean, that is a really, really valid question. I don't know. In the meantime, help us find and reunite some pets this morning as we end the program. Here is a little rabbit that has lost its way. He's so cute. If I showed this to Gigi, oh my God, she would want a rabbit. She wants a rabbit. Can I get a rabbit for my birthday? I'm like, no. Can I get a gerbil? Can I get a hamster? No. You have Zeus. One pet is enough. This little one is so cute. We used to have one that got away in the neighborhood, and he would always come over to our yard, and then we were feeding him and giving him fresh water and stuff. They are sweet, but child, I not got no more time to be chasing a rabbit around the house. Can you potty train rabbits? Girl, I ain't got no kind of time. And then this little dog is missing. Well, he's found, but he's missing for somebody. So if you know anyone who's missing their little dog, we posted it on social media already. He's on somebody's porch. He's being well kept. They're giving him some water, and he's safe, but we'd like to get him back home to his family as well. So let us know, please, if this dog belongs to you. All right. And continue to check our social media channels. People are forever losing stuff. We reunited a lady yesterday with her credit card. She was from overseas, her debit card. People are losing wallets and handbags and all sorts of things. So try to hang on to your things a little bit better. I would make that suggestion. But, just check her pages. If you've lost something, whatever we get, we do put it up. Someone said, I'm just listening, and you were a godsend to her. Yeah, she was, yes, I agree, aisle 2025. I think her commentary was fair. She articulated well in terms of what her experience was, answered her question straightforward. And so, we gotta definitely applaud her for that, especially in a situation like this. I gotta tell you, if I had just lost someone that was near and dear to me and all this mix up, child, I probably would have been cursing somebody out, honey child. Mm-hmm. But anywho, good for her for keeping her composure throughout. Because child, I would be like, you crooked people, what are you trying to crook me for? Oh my God. The stress, like she said, the mental toll, not easy. All right, folks, we didn't get to talk about the flag, so I'm going to get on that tomorrow. We have our lineup for today, so let me tell you what's coming up today on CMR TV. We have, let me see here now. Okay. All right, so we have, we have on the lineup today, we've got The Cold Hard Truth, which is ending now. Mind Matters at 12 o'clock. Sabrina Speaks at 5. Make We Talk follows Sabrina. And then Court Matters, I think at 8 o'clock. So those are the shows. 5 amazing shows for you. Yeah. Okay. And that's it. So you got 5 things you can watch today. All great shows. Mind Matters at midday. It's still Dr. Carlos. We're using his podcast segments. So feel free to tune in then. And again, congratulations to all of our content creators. We have an amazing lineup. I'm going to post up the weekly schedule. Most of them are online already. Some are still coming online. But it's been just an amazing, schedule, and the content creators are really putting a lot of work in. I was listening on Saturday to the interview that Rayon did with James Kennedy. Is it James Kennedy, the artist? And I really enjoyed that interview. That interview was really good. Check it out. You can check it out on YouTube, Facebook. It was a great interview. So congrats. Yeah. All right. Have a beautiful day, folks. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, we'll pick up with the flag protocol after someone complained about the flag situation there in Northside. It occurred to me, based on a lot of the comments, that unfortunately, they, y'all don't seem to know what the law says in the Cayman Islands. And that's where education is very, very important. Okay. All right, folks. Have a beautiful day. We'll talk to you mañana.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.